And like understanding the difference between tattling and then like also essential prevention. I think
How do we help students understand those differences?
I don't know. I think maybe just information given to them in that, like making it more comfortable to say something, and the anonymous piece of that, because tattling isn't always a bad thing, and seeing those first initial steps to people who may not be in the right place, definitely taking that away.
The young man that did the shooting in Parkland, Florida, allegedly did the shooting, it was pretty clear that his peers were concerned about him, right? But that didn't seem to translate to authorities.
Yeah.
So, okay. Sophia, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for the Safe Oregon. I think that that's a really key step in moving forward, making sure that people have an avenue to report things. I think part of that too is not to blame the issue on mental illness, because it's not, but I think also making sure that our schools are adequately funded so that we can have better mental health resources in our schools.
So Oregon has one of the lowest ratios of counselors in the United States. And I'd love to hear from you about your experiences in terms of working with school counselors on your campuses, whether you've had positive experiences or not. I'd love to hear what you see working and what is not working.
I actually volunteer for Lines for Life, Youth Lines.
Yes, okay.
And they're crisis hotline for teens. And one of the biggest issues I see with the contacts are finding resources, especially at school. One of the first things we suggest to students is to find a school counselor. But what they become now is a scheduling counselor instead of a mental health counselor. And so I'm curious about your opinion of separating those roles, maybe, like finding like people of administration and staff of schools, separating the task of scheduling student schedules and helping them with mental health issues, because it's a lot. They're
really separate issues, right? And I don't know what the ratio is in each one of your schools, but I've heard somewhere in the neighborhood of a counselor for every 400 to 600 students. So I actually see sort of twofold purposes for counselors. One is career counseling, right? To assist folks, students to figure out what they want to do post-high school. I'm suspecting that most of you you're already in college, but figuring out what path you want to take to make sure your skills are well suited for that path, that you have a financial path to get where you want to go, and that it makes sense for the career that you want to have. I think it's also important for our school counselors to make sure that students are keeping an open mind about what it is they want to do. If you told me this was going to be my job 30 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. But the other piece is providing comprehensive behavioral health, and that's really a different type of counseling and support. We were able to fund a little bit of school-based health clinics this last session last week. But I do think it's critically important that we fund adequate mental health counselors in our schools. For me, it's part of destigmatizing mental health, substance and alcohol treatment. It's part of treating the whole person, right? And so I think it's critically important. We'll certainly have this conversation next legislative session, but you all can help us have that conversation now. You can say to your parents, you can say to your legislators, you can just say to your local elected officials, this is something that's really important. We really need this in our schools right now. Not everyone's going to understand that, so about why it's so important. So you can help provide people with the information about why that's so important. How long have you been volunteering with Lines for Life?
About 2 years. I just got, I'm a shift lead now.
Okay,
so I
wow.
I help other students, especially in the Portland area, just because for commute.
And what prompted you to volunteer for this program?
I own an organization called Continue to Find Kindness, and it's an anti-bullying organization where we give presentations to students in elementary schools and middle schools on recognizing bullying, resolving bullying, revolutionizing kindness. So it's that whole mental health education. And I wanted to be experienced in another avenue, especially with high school students. And so Youth Line was the perfect outlet for me to get involved in that way and train with other students my age.
That's great.